boy, that's sure going to be an awful lot of digging to dig graves for all those dead rebels. And then he had an idea. Over there he had a well, and that well wasn't much good. It was a dry well. And he thought to himself, I'm going to take those dead bodies and I'm going to bury them all right, but I'm going to bury them in my old well. And that's what he did. He took 58 dead rebel soldiers, and he shoved, and he stuffed, and he forced all of those in that dry well. And then when he was finished, he threw in a lot of soil, and he covered them up. Now, all the people around had heard about this, and they were up in arms. They said those dead rebels, they were our enemies, but that's sacrilege. You don't stuff them in a well. That's not the proper burial. But old man Wise, he was tickled with himself. He thought, well, I'm going to go down to Boonesboro and I'm going to buy myself a new tobacco pipe and some tobacco. And that's what he did. He walked down to Boonesboro, got himself some supplies, and about 2 weeks later, in the evening, he was sitting on his front stoop on an old cracker box. And he was puffing away on that pipe, just enjoying himself, thinking, boy, I made myself a heap of money. And all of a sudden, he saw a movement down the road. Who are you?
I've come to have you turn me over, Mr. Wise.
Who are you?
I'm most uncomfortable lying on my face. Turn me over. Please, turn me over. Please, turn me over. Turn me over. Turn me over.
And he climbed in that well with his spade, and he started to dig. And he was digging as fast as he could. Finally, the 13th soldier, that was the one. Well, then he started to dig, and sure enough, that soldier was resting on his head. No wonder he was uncomfortable. He very carefully got that soldier out, and he reburied him. So he worked through the night, soldier after soldier, burying each one. And finally, as the sun streaked through the morning sky, he had that last soldier buried. And he got down on his knees and he said a little prayer. He said, please, please don't haunt me anymore.
There's a pattern that emerges with the first-hand literature, the diaries and the letters. They note the dead Confederates, they note the Johnny on the wall. Some of them note that the cabin up there at Fox's Gap, Wise's cabin, was used as a field hospital. There were tables set out front, there were amputations going on. But one thing that the first-hand accounts don't notice on September 15th is an old man dumping bodies down his well. There's no mention of that until September 16th. Now, by September 16th, most of the Union Army is off of the mountain. They're down in the Antietam area. The only Union soldiers left are those that are burying the dead. And I have a gentleman's diary who was on burial detail at Fox's Gap, and he gave a number of 75 Union soldiers on burial detail, and it took them 4 days to bury the Confederate dead. They were still burying Confederate dead on September 18th, a day after Antietam. And they finished up on the 18th. And went to join their units down at Antietam. Now, what happened on the 16th? There's one gentleman who wrote his memoir some years later, and he makes note of a Union burial detail, drunk on whiskey, dragging bodies to this well. And how it got started, one possibility might have been that some of the limbs from the field hospital had been dumped down the well to get rid of them, and the soldiers, you know, being under the influence of the alcohol, sought the easy way out. And let's get something straight, too. Burial detail was not pleasant duty, even under the best of circumstances. And it always surprised the men on burial detail how quickly the bodies would be